Lord, every day has got me feeling like a steam-rolling train. I've pushed up this mountain before, so I'll do it again. And it seems I've run out of rail now. I believe it's the end of the track, and I'm tied to this engine behind me, so I'll have to go back. Oh, Allie, ain't I so full of selfish greed? I never took your picture, but I wish time would freeze. And I know the world ain't all two colors, but you got me still here, green and blue. And I never was much of a fool, but I was a fool for you. Well, the first night I was certain, by the second, Lord, I sold my soul. And I can't help but thinking about things like growing old. Oh, it may be such a long time. Heartache wrestles with my good sense. I'll spend all my working hours to see you again. I'll spend all my working hours to see you again. If not for the love of a woman, devils would still hold me fast. But I'm tired now, I'm still haunted by all the things that I've done just to win. I've been captivated by angels, Lord, I've been weighed down by sin. Night I was certain, by the second, Lord, I sold my soul. And I can't help but thinking I'll spend all my working hours to see you again. I'll spend all my working hours to see you again.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Thirsty Thursday podcast.
Thirsty Thursday. I am thirsty today, man. This week is dragging along, man.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like we didn't get a weekend because we were so busy, though. But Derek, before we get to talk about that, this is episode number 57. I'm just going to put that out there before we forget, because sometimes we do till the end. Not today, motherfucker.
Not today. Yeah, man, the song we heard at the top just now, that was a little band called Pretend Friend, and we got the chance to play with them minus their bass player Monday night at Kirby's, which was pretty fun. They're fucking badass.
Oh, yeah.
Super badass.
Yep. Man, we got like a kind of a personal concert in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking cool, man. And
one of those Monday night Kirby shows.
Actually, they're going to be on the Thirsty Thursday podcast in a few weeks, Derek.
Oh, right on.
Which should be pretty cool. I think we're a couple weeks out yet, but I know we got that lined up, so that ought to be a pretty cool time.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, yeah, the traveling band we played with that was supposed to play at Kirby's never showed up.
Yeah.
We were kind of just waiting around, hopefully for people to show up or to figure out when we were playing or whatever. And, man, they get up there and just fucking slayed it, dude.
They did, man. Evan Ogborn is a wizard on that fucking mandolin, dude.
Bro, I was sitting there just like, oh, fuck, I got to play after this.
Yeah, that was exciting, man. That was fun to see. And gosh dang it.
Grant,
that's his name, yes. Dude, that dude's voice is something else, man. It's
like he sings kind of like a high pitch, but it sounds so good.
Like he's got some pretty good range.
Yeah.
It's just a different, like it's like bluegrass. That is bluegrass to the bone.
Yeah, it's its own sound. You know, you hear it and you go, "Yep, I know who that is." You know what I mean?
I have a feeling like if you wandered into the fucking hollers of Kentucky somewhere, West Virginia, that's the type of shit you would hear, dude. That's some cool shit.
Right? Out in the hills. Sticks.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kicked ass, and their bass player, I believe, is Brody Wellman.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure he was the former bass player for Carrie Nation, and he does a lot of sound around Wichita as well.
Right.
Does a lot of sound gigs and stuff like that, and he's a fucking badass bass player. I mean, so that's a fucking dynamic trio right there, man. That I'd put them up against about anybody. You know?
Yeah, they're good, man. They're good for sure. And I can't wait to hear them on the podcast here in a few weeks.
Yep.
It'll be fun.
Pick their brains.
Yeah, I don't know about our set. Our set, it was weird going from
It was weird.
We've been hitting it so hard with the drums and bass and everything, then it was like we stripped it back down to acoustic. And
Yep.
Got a little wonky.
Yeah, it did feel like it was missing something. Definitely missing something.
And Malachi got a little wonky on the old Milwaukee.
Yeah, that he did, dude. He was waiting, just sitting there drinking. I was like, damn it, Gus. Him and them fucking overalls, dude, was cracking me up, though, all night. Like, this guy shows up to the show in fucking sandals and some overalls. And I guess that's one night that worked for him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Normally that's you, Derek.
I don't know if that worked for him or not, but
normally that's you.
Yeah, right.
But
I at least have the decency to put boots on.
True that.
No, fucking old Milwaukee for the bands that night. I swear to God, I haven't been drunk on old Milwaukee since I was like 14 years old. I'm not even lying. That stuff, that took about 3 beers to get used to, but that was fucking free, so.
It's not that bad. Really, what I like doing the most with Old
That ain't
Milwaukee is
fucking good either.
I like making jungle juice with it, or you dump a bunch of like a case of Old Milwaukee, a handle of vodka, and throw some lemonade in there, dude. It's pretty summer brew, dude.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty decent, but it'll fuck you up.
Back in my day, we did that with we used Everclear instead of vodka because we weren't pussies.
Well, I enjoy my life, Derek, and I guess either way you're fucked when you drink that stuff. But I don't know. Something about me and Everclear doesn't mix. I don't
think Everclear and anybody mix.
I don't think so either, man. It's like drinking rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, I say that we weren't pussies, but if you would have seen us after we got done drinking that shit, you would.
I have before. I got there and I was like, "Where's everybody at?" Fucking passed out, throwing up.
Looked like a fucking battlefield. Everybody just laying around in the grass and
it's like we have casualties.
black eyes bleeding.
Chicks passed out in bushes and shit. Fucking
the fucking good old
409, baby. 40 fucking 9.
Good old days. I miss that goddamn house.
See, I was too young to be there that much, but I would wander over there because of fucking Arlen, obviously. I'd just wander across town. I'd walk over there because I was a fucking kid, basically. And I knew if Arlen said I could come over there, I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm going to go see what's up.
So, for those of you listening that don't know, which is probably most of you, we back in the day, about 20 years ago, probably fucking longer than that. Dude, we had a house. One of our buddies, his dad had an old rental house, and he never checked on it or anything like that. I'm pretty sure he knew we partied over there and shit, but man, we just, had some old couches and shit in there, a table, had a wood-burning stove in there.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, it was like an Animal House, man. That's what it reminded me of, was the fucking Animal House fraternity.
Oh, yeah.
There were just fucking booze parties, like upstairs, downstairs. Oh,
shit on all over the carpets and fucking.
Dude, some of the fucking stories that come out. Oh my goodness, I don't even think they're legal to tell. Like, I don't even want to. I don't even want to incriminate myself.
Hey, there's what's it called? Statute of limitations, Derek.
I don't know. They're fucking probably still trying to find something. Yeah, dude, no, that place was pretty fun. I seen a dude like throw up from the floor to the ceiling, like hit the ceiling. He was so goddamn drunk.
Damn, dude.
That was
fucked up, man.
That's fucking disgusting, but it was funny once I got out of the way. Like when I knew I was safe, when you get thrown up on.
Yeah, that was back in the day when parties would never get busted, really.
Yeah, no.
Not too much.
The neighbors just kind of, we never bothered their houses, so I'm sure it got loud as hell. But fucking cops never showed up. They drive by once in a while, but they never came in, never busted it up.
Yeah, nowadays they'd fucking be all up in there. Like,
it'd be fucking helicopters and SWAT team.
Fuck, yeah, man. So, this is a fine Thirsty Thursday. I'm sipping on a little whiskey. Derek, are you still recovering from the whole weekend we had? Or?
No, I'm just not drinking. I don't know why. I fucking need to be. I feel like it. But
oh, dude, I needed to be. I was like, okay.
I probably need to be too. But
this is going to make life just a little bit better right now.
Nope, just fucking, I'm empty-handed. Me and my little mini bottle of water.
There you go, man. Hydrate. Well, I'll drink for the both of us, Derek. How about that?
I did get pretty sauced on Saturday. We played Old Settlers. I was feeling pretty good then.
Dude, that was the first time we'd really set up our own sound and done it all entirely ourselves as like a full band. And man, it was a little bit of a process, kind of figuring out what we were doing to begin with, but for the most part, I think we got it sorted out, and I feel pretty good about it, man. I thought we sounded fucking really good. I mean,
yeah, we had everybody out there dancing and shit, so it was like one of those old Anthony shows, man.
Right.
It was just fucking packed from the stage all the way to the back. Everybody was out dancing and shit and getting rowdy.
Oh, dude. I mean, that show went by so fast. I mean, it just felt like it went by really fast. I don't know. There's definitely parts that I think we all agree we can improve on from it. But overall, I thought we sounded very good for the limited amount of time we've all played together. And yeah,
I agree. It's kind of hard to have bad sound when you got Brian and Dan back there. Like,
I know.
Fucking Dan, just fucking steady Eddie back there, just fucking
kicking some major ass, dude.
Cannot fucking shake that guy. He just plays it, fucking knocks it out, and
yeah. I look forward to playing more shows. We got a bunch coming up too, man.
Yeah, we do. We got
6 or 7, I think. I remember counting here. Something like that.
We got Aeroplanes. We got one down in Delano.
We got Delano. We got 2 in Delano, actually.
Yeah.
But
those two we're gonna play with a group of guys from Wellington. Young men, I shall say.
Yep.
A couple of brothers. They're fairly new. I mean, they've been around for a while, but at the same time, they're starting to get their chops now. And they played at the Pump House
last week, I think,
a couple weeks ago, something like that. So I was like, man, we don't open up for enough people. I'd like to see that, help them out a little bit and try to get them up around Wichita because they're young. They can't just pop into a bar and.
Yeah, they can't do that by themselves.
So it's a little trickier for them, but I'd like to be able to get them.
Yeah, because sooner or later they're going to be doing that.
Yeah.
So
well, it's like Aeroplanes. There's always a good crowd in there, So that's a good. I think that's a good thing for them, Good exposure deal, and then the Delano, the Open Streets ICT. That one's about the same. There should be a lot of people there. I've never been down to that, so I don't know. But
I think I've seen the stage, and I think I was. I live right by Douglas, so I remember kind of the thing going on last year. It was all blocked off. I was like, "What the fuck? I can't drive anywhere."
Right.
So I had to go all the way around to kind of get anywhere. But overall, I think it's going to be a cool time. I know. So we have the 5th, the 7th. The 14th, we're playing in Winfield at Patton's Picking Party.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be fun.
That's going to be a great time. And just overall, I mean, just go look at our page. We've got a bunch of shows coming up, but I think they're all going to be different. I mean, as far as the
fundraiser, we got we got the Rose Hill Fall Fest too.
Yep.
So that'd be fun. It's always fun playing. Oh, we're playing with Lively Up and
Flashpoint,
and I can't remember the band before.
There's a couple others too.
Man, I don't even know if I want to follow up Lively Up.
I might not be at that show. Depends on when this baby
comes
happen, but we'll see. To be determined. But really, I mean, I think we're starting to get more shows. It's pretty encouraging, and I know we're starting to sound better. I think that Kirby show kind of wasn't a great representation of us, but it was what it was.
I think it was a combination of a few different things. One that I'm telling you, when me and Gus played that show at 3B's, just me and him.
Yeah.
It's a fucking different beast, dude. Like when it's just acoustic and you like it, we forget how, I don't know.
You're used to a higher energy, like.
Well, I don't know if it's harder. I don't know what. Yeah, maybe it's the energy. I don't know.
But I think you got to kind of play it differently, honestly. Even if you're playing the same song, I think you kind of have to play it a little different or something.
Yeah, there's something to it, but they're fun because they're challenging. You can't fuck up at all.
We've never really went through that though, So I think this is like a new feeling that we're getting because, we've never went from a full band back to acoustic. We didn't know we don't know what that feels like, but now we kind of do. And
Right.
But yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying when you say like you go play with Gus or something. Even when I would go play with Gus, just me and him, acoustic, it's like fuck, we're missing some harmonica and shit, and you know, like we can't play Boys from Oklahoma. It doesn't sound as good. You know, there's lots of stuff that we can't. Like it just doesn't sound right. I don't know. At least in my ears, it might sound good to whoever's listening, but I mean,
that's weird. But I think, that probably threw us off a little bit. The drinking part probably threw us off a little bit.
I was relatively sober there, but I think the mandolin before me fucking threw me off a little bit. I was like, fuck, man. No, big props to him. That threw me off a little bit.
Lesson learned. We're not fucking playing behind those guys ever again. Like, no, not even at gunpoint will you get me to play behind those guys. It's fucking, they're way too good for that.
I would with the full band, but that'd be the only circumstance.
Jeez, I don't even know then. That's the crazy thing. They didn't
even have their full band.
No, there's just two of them, and they just had like this fucking energy that was insane. Like chemistry, the fucking energy and shit. It was cool. So
yeah, it was a pretty good weekend. I feel like we didn't have any downtime. You know what I mean? That's why I'm probably kind of tired right now. And
I've been struggling.
We've kind of just been on the go. We haven't had any real downtime since, 2 weekends ago, maybe?
Well, I played hooky from work on Monday.
Oh. So if you're listening, Derek's work.
I doubt it.
Boo. If they are, you know what? I don't work there. So you know what? Piss up a rope.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to get some more shows going, record a little bit too as well.
Yeah, we're doing that. That ought to be a good time. Continue on with our project. I think the song that we're going to record on the 31st, I thought it went very well on Saturday. It sounded really fucking good. And
yeah, I blew out my fucking harmonica on that one, so pretty sure.
We're going to have to get you a new one before we record? Probably.
Yeah, I'll go get a new one.
So
I might be able to. I'll probably just go buy a new one. I don't know.
Probably should, because you're going to need it anyways. But because that's before.
I was also wondering, like, because those have been sitting in the trunk for a while, like you're sitting in your trunk. I didn't know, maybe the heat might have got to them as well.
I don't know. They're in my house.
Well, but they were in your car, weren't they?
Just for a little bit, just travel.
Oh.
But I think you probably should get a new harp anyways, because the string of shows we got coming up, now'd be the time to do it. But
yeah,
I definitely think that either way, whatever song we decide to record on the 31st, doesn't matter to me, but I definitely think we have one in mind. But they all got to get recorded eventually, so.
Yeah, we got some good ones, I think, lined up. I kind of want it. The one we're going to record is kind of a fun, silly song.
It's almost kind of bluesy, in my opinion.
But, yeah, a little bit.
It's got some blues influence anyways.
But I think some of the other ones we got coming up to record are going to be fucking really good. I want to get kind of creative with some of them too, and
right.
See if we can't get some fellers in to play some different instruments and stuff. Or
yeah, because some of these we're not even. We've got them kind of down, but they're still moldable at this point. You know what I mean? We haven't recorded nothing's set in stone. That's kind of the beauty of songwriting in general. Like before you ever record it or anything like that, you can play it 10 times and then mold it into something else, and then.
Well, I think what's so important for people is to play it as many different ways as you can and have people sit in with you. And because I got a lot of ideas when Colton came and hung out, just one night, and he was fucking rocking.
Yeah, that was cool.
Guitar, dude. I was like, oh man, there were some cool little riffs that he was putting in like all of our originals. So
Yep.
it gave me some ideas.
Yeah.
I wish I was musically like just gifted like that, where I could just go, you know what this needs? No, start going off. Think about it. No. Hold on, and then fuck.
Change like 3 notes. Like, this is how it needs to go.
Yeah. No. There we go. Fuck. Yeah, I'm not. I'm an idiot, Sudge.
Yeah. Give yourself more credit than that, Derek. Come on.
I really would. God, I wish I was more musically inclined.
Well,
It's funny. You start thinking, you're like, yeah, you got this music thing down, and then you go hang around people that are fucking way better at it than you. They're like, okay, maybe not. I got a little work to do.
back to the drawing board. I
Gotta
go
go study a little bit more.
That's kind of what I do. You know, I'll go listen to music, come home, try to figure out some new shit. You know, and that's really where all your creativity is going to come from. Is just by yourself, fucking around. Because who was that said it? Luke. He was like, if you question yourself and your song, it's not good enough. So definitely, sometimes I question myself on certain stuff, and I'm like, well, okay, well, that's not what I want it to be. And I think that's a good thing to live by, because if you don't even believe in it, then who the fuck is?
Yeah, but you know me though, like I'm the hardest one on. I never believe in any of it. I'm like, no, that could have been. We should do it this way. We should do it. We can do it better. Fuck, I'm an ass. I'm that asshole.
Well, that needs to be. I feel like that still needs to be there though, because I might think I wrote the fucking best little riff ever, and you're like, no, dude, that's not what belongs there. You know, sometimes people get so wrapped up in their own. You know, they're just in love with what they did.
I don't think I've ever told you like, no, that sounds like shit.
But
unless we were just really fucking hammered wasted or something.
But if you did, I would be like, okay, well, I didn't look at it that way.
It's probably more along the lines of like, well, let's fucking put it right here. Let's try it this way or that way.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think everybody needs that sort of critique, because they might think it's the best song in the world, and maybe it has potential, but maybe something needs to change about it.
Yeah, like I'm the other way around. Like I can't, on the fly, I cannot learn how to just riff. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
I don't know. We're in the studio. It's like, hey, try to do this and this and this, or practicing or something. It just doesn't happen that way. Like once it's in my head.
Right.
Then I can go home and fucking 3 minutes after being at home, I can fucking play it just like everybody was telling me to do it.
See, that's your happy place.
Right. And then it's just like that from then on. Like I don't ever forget that. See, that's what I'm talking about. I wish I was that way with a fucking guitar, or Jesus, I'd take bass or anything.
But I think that's why it's really important before you ever go to a studio to really hammer down how you want to play your song. You know, everybody involved, every part. That way, you don't waste the producer's time. You don't waste your bandmates' time or your time. You know, I think people that go in there and try to experiment and do things that they never even thought of. I mean, that might work for some, but I feel like you're wasting people's time. Like if you can't go in there and just lay it down how you planned it to sound like, or at least to a very closely anyways, then I mean, I think you're just wasting time in general. And as we know, time is very precious. So
yeah, I thought we did all right with that, you know, not wasting too much time. Hell, we got 2 songs in just a small amount of time, so I was actually worried I was going to be the son of a bitch in there recording over and over and over and over.
I feel like everybody probably felt that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And definitely I felt that nervousness when I stepped in the booth, like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this up, you know, in front of everybody, and I'm gonna have to do it over and over and over and over. But I remembered we'd practice all this stuff, kind of. You know, we'd lay down the scratch track. I mean, if I can have that to reference, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, it's the same way I am.
And if you have to record things over a couple times, that's fine. I mean, you're there to make a perfect recording of it. You know what I mean? You're not there to go one take and half-ass it. You know, I mean, there are people that go in there. Tequila Ridge, they do like the live, you know, studio recordings, one take, send it. You know, that's fucking its own animal. But for us, you know, and many other bands, we want it to sound as good as possible, and just to be, you know, if we did a one take thing, it's not going to sound as good as if we record each individual piece and like piece it together and make it what we think it should sound like.
Yeah.
But so props to bands that do that, because that's got to be really hard. I don't know. It's got to be super hard to go do that and not mess up. And
yeah, but you know, when we watched them 100 times, those guys are just super tight. So
yeah, I mean, that's just a product of playing together a lot, and basically that's it. I mean, talented musicians who play together, you know, at least a few times a week, they're gonna sound good. They are. I mean, any band that practices that much, they're gonna be tight. Whether it sounds good or not, they're gonna be tight. They're gonna know what part they're at in the song. Even if the song doesn't sound great, they're gonna know what they're doing.
they're probably playing that shit in their sleep, dude. Just
yeah.
Yeah.
I could see him going out to walk to the mailbox to go get his mail, fucking slapping the bass, dude, wandering,
Right.
mowing the yard, slapping the bass, dude, just boom, boom, boom.
Swear to God, I fucking love that part.
Yeah.
Shit was funny as hell that time at the Cotillion. They opened up the aquarium.
Walking around in the back.
Fucking bench was all up right down in front of the stage, playing bass, waving.
Glenn didn't even realize he was out there.
That was the look on Glenn's face. That was priceless, dude. Like, hey, what the fuck?
Get up here. What are you doing? He's all at the bar, way in the back.
That shit was funny. It was good.
Well, Derek, we have a cool band coming up for the mid-segment. Before we get to that, we're going to talk about TopShotPaint.com, one of our tremendously awesome sponsors, specializing in hail damage, minor collision repair, marine fiberglass, bed liners, window tinting, you name it. They do work with all insurance companies, Derek, so that's good. If you have a little minor fender bender,
Yes,
they'll
sir.
take care of all that for you. So they're
Where
located at 420. Oh, you messed it up. It's all good. They are located, Derek, just south of the arena at 423 South St. Francis. Or you can give them a call at 316-260-4022. Go like their Facebook page, because they always got some cool projects going on over there.
Agreed.
Derek, who is our second awesome sponsor for this podcast?
Alpha Heating and Air. And if there's any week where you need your air conditioner, this would be the week.
Yep.
The scorcher. But other than that, they also will check on your heating too, which is right around the corner. I feel like we're going to go from 112 to
3.
fucking 12 in a matter of
Could happen.
it's going to go quick. So
Yeah,
call them up. Yeah.
316-765-4492. They're an LG and York dealer and service all units. They do free estimates on replacing systems. So if you need a new system, I would imagine towards the fall, don't quote me on this, that this just seems like it would make sense that you probably get a pretty good deal on an AC unit, you know. But like Derek said, give them a call. Make sure your heating is good, because that's going to be a big problem here pretty soon before you know it. And if you're having an AC problem, give them a call as well. I mean, 316-765-4492. I use them. Highly recommend them. Derek?
Yes, sir.
Who are we playing at the break here? This fantastic group we are playing here in the middle.
Oh, man, I forgot who you said we were going to play.
I think
This episode has been less than flawless.
so we had a conversation before this where we kind of talk about who we're going to play, and we always kind of do. And sometimes we'll do a dealer's choice, but this time we've kind of planned it out, and Derek seemed to have forgot.
No, it's one of two
Middle
bands, but I don't want to ruin the last band. The surprise on the last.
Well, the bad part is they both start with L, so I can't really give you that clue.
The first four letters are the same.
Literally, the first four letters are the same. I didn't think about that. This is one. They're a reggae band.
Okay, so we talked about them a little bit ago. We actually get to not open up for them. They'll be playing before us. I guess nobody's really opening
Kind of
up.
scary to think about.
It is, because these guys are super good, and they are very new, actually, really new.
We went to their first show
Yeah,
before they were an official thing, kind of too.
that was really cool. That was fun. We did an interview with them as well. So go check out Lively Up, the artist spotlight with Lively Up. That was in the green room at the Elbow Room. The always quiet, warm green room.
But yeah, so we got this awesome new track from them. It's all over social media. If you haven't checked it out, you're going to now. You just are. I mean, we're not giving you an option. And don't you dare skip ahead, because that's bullshit. Enjoy this awesome tune. And on the other end, we're going to have an interview with Glenn and Luke at a Red Cat with For the Birds.
One of my favorite bands.
Oh, me too, man.
But these bands are like my children. I don't think I could pick one of my favorites, but
this one's one of my top ones. For sure.
yeah, I always, but it sucks because it seems like they book the same way we do or something. Just every time we're playing, they're playing, or something's going on.
It's like that with a lot of bands these days.
But yeah, we'll talk more about them after the interview, and we'll put some Lively Up on for you. What's the name of the
Through the Light.
Through the Light.
Brand new single. Check it out.
Later.
Through the light, we're taking it, and through the night, we're making it right. Through the fight, we're breaking it, and through that love, we'll make it shine bright. Through the light, we're taking it, and through the night, we're making it right. Through the fight, we're breaking it, and through that love. So
with him, we don't share. So many out there living a love light rays from the sun, sending down God's love. Too many living so blind, rotting the mind and wasting time. Not many willing to give, only willing to give to try to make it big. And if everyone sacrificed just a little, and if everyone did a part on their own, time to use our mind's eye just a little. The universe is in our control. Yeah, yeah. Through the light, we're taking it, and through the night, we're making it right. Through the fight, we're breaking it, and through that love, we'll make it shine bright. Through the light, we're taking it, and through the night, we're making it right. Through the fight, we're breaking it, and through that love.
Welcome to the Thirsty Thursday Spotlight, featuring interviews from top Wichita acts and artists, recorded live from beautiful Red Cat Recording in Peck, Kansas. Listen up, you knuckleheads. Here's your host, Glenn Shipman.
Happy Thursday to you guys. We're back here at Red Cat down in Peck, Kansas. Luke,
Hello, Glenn.
how are you, brother?
It's been a week, man.
Man, it's been another hot week, hasn't it?
It's summertime here in Kansas.
Did you get all your plumbing repairs done and stuff?
As far as I know.
I didn't hear any gushing water or see any
if I
troughs
don't-
when it came
yeah,
up.
if
So.
I don't hear it, it means that it's no problem.
Out of sight, out of mind.
That's right.
It's probably not the best avenue to take with
No,
plumbing
probably
problems. though, I'm
not.
just saying.
Probably not. But, it's all I got.
Well, we're pretty happy today. We have For the Birds in the house, guys. What's up?
What up?
Guys,
We have Steven. He's the bass player. How you doing, Mr. Shields?
Glad
What
to
was
be here.
that?
I'm doing good.
I just
is
hear
that a beer I
I
see
heard a
going
Miller
on?
Life crack open right
Maybe.
there. Tony Lee, the lead singer, man. How are you, brother?
What's up? Doing good. How you doing, Glenn?
I'm good, man. I'm glad you guys are here today. And we have I.C. Collins, the 4th or 5th or 6th or 8th, 10th. No, I.C. Collins, the 4th right here, lead guitar player and singer.
What's up?
What's up, man? I've been seeing you around a little bit. That's good.
Yep, getting out there.
So I got to ask right off the bat, why did you guys pick For the Birds? Because that literally kind of translates into nothing. So
Okay, so it's kind of changed, I guess, the meaning maybe all along the way. But for the birds, like the expression, that shit's for the birds. It
Yeah.
means it's left over, it's passed over.
It's
You know what I'm saying? It's the
yeah.
stuff that nobody else wants to fuck with.
It's non-consequential, which I don't think you guys are. That's why I'm asking, man. It's,
Well,
it's like-
that is, I think it kind of goes like how the meek will inherit the earth. You
Yeah,
know
I
what I'm
get
saying? We
that.
got to stay small. And so the way that we came up with the title, it was back when we had another lead singer. His name was Casey Tavares. And we had locked ourselves away in my apartment for the first year or so of the formation of the band, and I was like, "Hey, man, I got this cool song." And it's a song, our self-titled song called "For the Birds."
Okay.
And I had the chorus, and he just starts freestyling. That's how most of the first album came out. Was I would have some sort of guitar melody and some idea for a chorus, and he would just kind of freestyle the verses. And so he's sitting there and he's like, and I don't care what you heard, and it just came out. He's like, "It's for the birds, baby. It's for the birds." And we stopped what we were playing right there. And he just kind of looked at me, and I looked at him, and he was like, "That's the band name, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I
that's great.
called Steven right then. Steven Wood, he's not here today. That's the drummer. I called him right then. I was like, "Hey, man, I think we got the name. It's For the Birds." And he's like, "Man, that's dope."
By the way, we miss you, Steven Tyler Wood, drummer, who has to work on a Wednesday night. So
Out moving cool airplanes
yeah,
around.
I'm sure
Yeah,
he is. Yeah.
he's here in spirit. He said he really wanted to be here.
So how did For the Birds get started? We know the name started now, but what was the original concept? You guys just friends? Who was it?
It's a lot more serious than that. Basically, me and a guy named Blake Ibarra and Casey Tavares were in a band called The Operators. And we still play some of that music today as For the Birds. In fact, we tracked an Operator song here at Red Cat called Let Me Go. And it was a For the Birds take on it. It wasn't exactly the same, but the song was written as The Operators. And Glad that one was full.
Yeah, that one
I
was
spilled a
open.
beer for the people who can't see what just happened.
One for our homies.
So basically, it came through a long struggle of addiction. Honestly, I ran in the same crowd with Casey and Blake, and everybody was doing a ton of Xanax, a ton of cocaine, a bunch of other crazy shit. And I had kind of decided, like, wow, I can't do this anymore. Like, my life is fucking ruined. And so I got an apartment in Derby, and I locked myself inside of there. And around that same time, me and Casey Tavares, who were actually kind of enemies at the freaking time after the band had broke up, he slept with my girlfriend. I slept with his ex-girlfriend. He was like, I'm going to fuck you up. And I'm like, okay, it's on. And so one morning, it's like 6 a.m, and I hear this Dodge Ram, which was so iconic of Casey. If you and IC can attest, like back in those days, it had that sound. So you knew when he was coming, when he was like 2 miles down the street, and it was like 6 a.m, and he was like, I was like, today is the day. I got up, put pants on, and I was like, today is the day. We're gonna fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? He's here to fuck shit up, and he was like, dude. I'm in a tough spot. Haven't been in sleep today in days, and I ain't got nowhere to go. Can I stay here? I was like, yeah, just don't bring any drugs in my house, because that was what I was doing. I had locked myself away in my apartment. I was like, I'm not going to do this shit anymore.
Stuff, yeah.
And 2 days went by, and I saw him that evening. 2 days later, and he's like, oh, hey, how's your day been? And I'm like, well, it's 2 days later, man. And he's like, wow. He had to sleep for 2 whole days. And basically from that point, like, we just locked ourselves away. We're like, we got to do something different. And so we started writing most of what the first album For the Birds is today.
So that was For the Birds. You, Blake, and Casey?
It was, me, Blake, and Casey was operators. And we split up. And so then there was a big, huge rift between me and Casey at that point in time, and Casey and Blake. And so, year, 2 years.
That happens with drugs, by the way.
Yeah. It was tearing us the fuck apart, dude. All of our friends, it's something still to this day, that I think back and I'm like, holy shit, I'm so glad I made it out of that shit. And so, blah, 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 blah. Here comes Casey rolling up, and, he doesn't want to fight. He wants to get sober. And I'm like, bet. So we locked ourselves away, and we wouldn't go much farther than the front porch of my balcony in my tiny little studio apartment. And we wrote music together for months. And so Stephen Wood, he tracks me down. At that time, I was so jaded and pretty stupid. So he's like, hey, let's play. And I was actually turning him down. I was like, no, I only want to fuck with serious shit. I can't even fuck with this right now. And he was like, no, you're good. Just come play with me. And so he convinced us to go down there, and he had so much heart, and he had so much. He was ready. He wanted to be a fucking rock star. And I was like, all right, cool, man. So we moved all our shit over to Steve's house. I was dating this girl, Nicole, at the time, and she was working with IC's mom. Oh. And I kind of gave IC the same treatment. Steve, like, she was like, oh, I got this guy, and he's like 17, and he plays guitar. And I was just kind of like, yeah, fucking right. I'm so fucking jaded at this point still, just being a dick, honestly. And I go to a party. Well, first thing is we went and saw whatever that Harry Potter fucking movie was.
Yeah, we went and saw The Woman in Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was me and my girl at the time, and you and Nicole.
Yeah, and IC wasn't old enough to drink. We're at the Warren, so like we're sharing a margarita, and that was our first real experience together. Yeah. I was like, okay, this guy's kind of cool. And he was not the man you see today. Had no muscles. It was completely quiet. The most shy person I've ever met in my like. His transformation over the last 8 years in this band has been nothing short of amazing. And so like I'm like, hey man, you want to drink? He's like, yeah man, that's cool. And so. I go to his birthday party, then like I got some rapport with him, and I don't even make it a step into the door. Like I'm on the fucking welcome mat as the door opens, and he's sitting there on the couch playing his guitar, and I was like, God damn, dude.
It's the same impression I got when I met him.
I didn't even fucking say hi to anybody. I was just like, I'll be right back. Went home, grabbed my guitar, came back. We jammed that whole night. We ended up having Stephen Wood over that night, I think.
No,
that was the next.
That was a little bit later. He came over on my 18th birthday. That was the first time I met Stephen Wood.
That's when I met you, too, is after your 18th birthday.
Was it?
Yeah.
Shit. Time flies.
Yeah, no, because I was just kind of a cool little story into that. When I met IC, it was at a jam, and we had it at a place where you could have, it was the only place in town. I hosted a jam at the time, and they had food, so 18 and unders could be in. and Icy came in and played because it was one of the only places you could play in town in a bar. And at that point, we were looking for a guitar player, and I steadily gave him the sell to try to get him to come to Tequila Ridge.
Yeah. I feel like you still give him the sell, Glenn.
Nah, I told him he can fill in anytime he wants, but I know where his heart is. And he told me that day, when I started trying to get him to come to Tequila Ridge, that he's like, man, I've got this band we're coming together, and I think it's going to be something special. And I think that was your exact words to me. And so I knew then that I wasn't ever going to get him, But I think he fits better with you than he ever would with us. He does great with us, but he gives you guys spirit. So
we're definitely lucky.
Thank you for saying.
So when they pick you up,
I love playing. I love playing with you guys too.
Yeah, man, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and you guys are great together too.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, but he is a different guitar player when he plays with you guys. So there's just two different things.
So I met Icy, bam, he's playing guitar, it's awesome, and he's this young kid. And so I as I'm going home to get my guitar, I call both of the guys. I'm like, I call Casey, then I call Steven. I'm like, I found the lead guy. They're not even like, we want an audition. They're just like, they can tell by the tone of my voice. They're like, get him, Tony, get him. So it's like a few days later, we're all in Stephen Wood's basement. At the time, he was still living with his dad, Paul, shout out, love you, man. And we had two songs. They were original songs, right? We didn't start learning covers. We started writing music, and we played this one song, which we don't play at all anymore. And I mean, we would just sit there and play it over and over and over and over 20, 30, 40 times a day. No, we all could get together during the day. We all either had jobs that worked out, and we were all single, and we were all young, and so. Yeah. I mean, that was one of the most incredible times for us, because we were like, wow, we're in a band. This is working. And everybody was super passionate, and everybody just had the belief from the moment, like, hey, there's something here, and we can do something greater with our lives. And so, boom, you know what I'm saying? Flash forward, we're having issues with drugs again, right? We had to split with Casey. I don't want to say anything more than that, but we had to split with Casey, and it's kind of a mutual thing, and it's very sad.
That's kind of how those things happen too. They're up and down, up and down, up and down until you get to the point where you just can't.
And I love him. I don't want to say anything bad about him, because watching him and from the operators and Blake, who then later would come to fill the void when IC took a year off after Ron died, which I hope we can get into all of that too, man.
Absolutely.
There's so much good story here. So,
well, if we can get through this first question, I think we can.
Right. So I'm going to wrap it up, because we got to get to where we have Steven Shields join the band, because
also,
that was
during this part. Me and IC knew each other since 8th grade. We're playing together.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of knew the band.
Who was your original bass player, though? Steven wasn't.
Casey was.
He was playing bass and singing.
He was the original singer, and he was the original bassist, and he knew how to play just a few notes on the bass, but he had great fucking rhythm.
Yeah,
great fucking rhythm, and he had great energy. Yeah. And he's since become a pretty good player, but at the time, he was pretty outclassed on that. But he was a great writer, and a great singer, and a great performer, and so that's what we needed.
Still is a really good singer too.
Yeah, and one of the best writers I've ever met in my life. And so he was the original bassist. We had to let him go, so we went as a 3-piece for a little bit, 2 guitars. We're just like, we will not say no. We're gonna go play shows. We were playing shows, we didn't have a PA. We're like, we're just gonna get out there and fucking play. And so Jesse, who had recently been fucking shot at the Green Derby, right? Like, I was there, watched Jesse get shot. So me and Jesse, how he comes along, I've been homies with him forever, and so had Steve. And so he's still wearing a cast on his hand, but I knew that he wanted in. I knew he did. And I wanted him in. We had played together for a long, just like Icy and what we call Little Steve for the people out there, since we have 2 Steves. Icy and Little Steve, that was me and Jesse. I'd known him forever, and we had played together. And so he comes in, and I actually just brought a bass rig to the show we were playing. And when he showed up, I was like, play that shit. And that was the first time. And
he
so
played it with a cast on his arm.
Yeah, dude, he only had like just a few fingers out, but the few fingers was all he needed, because it was on his picking hand. Yeah. And so, boom, that goes on for a long time. Then Jesse's got a lot going on, and it still hurts. It still hurts. I love Jesse to death, but we had to let him go. And me and IC were already sold on Little Steve, because me and Little Steve had been jamming kind of vicariously because he knew IC.
At Icy's house, because I lived 2 doors down.
Yep.
And I'd come over, and I'd be playing with IC, and then the rest of the band would show up, and now we had 3 guitars, a bass, and
An actual
Steve
band.
Wood had a fro at the time, which is majestic.
Yes.
Yeah, I miss
No
it.
longer. I'm sure he misses it too.
So you guys started about 2012, 2011 then?
Yeah.
2012,
Yeah.
June. And so, boom, we had to let Jesse go. And me and Icy were both sold on Little Steve. And we went there, we started practicing. And the 2 years since we have found Little Steve have been the best 2 years. How I felt it was when we found IC, like it made everything fit. Everybody got so excited. IC was like kerosene on a fire. And that same thing happened again when we found Steve Shields. It was like fucking miraculous. Like we should be broken, and I was brokenhearted because Jesse is one of the best friends I've ever had.
Well, I know you to be a loyal person, so I know that's something that's probably tugged at your heartstrings quite a bit. And it's you start these bands off as friends, and then all of a sudden it becomes something that has potential, and you have to make decisions that you can't make as a friend. But I think on the other scope of that is that I can tell that the three of you, and even Steven, when I've seen you guys all four together, you have something that's intangible, really, in the area. Is that you have a chemistry between the four of you, and the chemistry is what makes the music that you guys put out. Where do you think that comes from, IC? I mean, is it just because you guys are all buddies, or do you guys have a common goal? Or is it...
I think. Yeah, there's commonality in our goals and in our influences, and yeah, man, it a lot of it is also playing with one another. I mean,
Sure.
Me and Tony and Big Steve been playing for so long. Me and Little Steve been playing individually for so long, and now he's in For the Birds. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a mixture of influences and playing with one another, and really believing in the message and in the vision of the band.
I think a huge part also is what we've been through.
Sure.
So, and then you guys are gonna have to moderate me because I love to fucking talk. But real quick, because this is like the most important part
real
of
quick.
For the Birds. Real quick. So
It's his favorite line.
So that day so we got IC, and then we were like, we're gonna book a show, and we had like at that point 4 original songs and maybe 2 covers that we kind of knew how to play, and we just played them over and over. We played them acoustically, and then we played them electrically, and we played them acoustically, we played them electrically, and that's how we made a 4-hour show happen with like 6 or 7 songs. That was how
Nice.
the beginning of the band. And so we were the very second show that we played ended up being a funeral fundraiser for 2 close friends of ours that also lost their lives to addiction, and that was Mark Welch and Chaz Parrott, rest in peace. And like that, they were there, like we were hanging out with them the day before, and then they're like, "Oh man, you're getting
Don't send a
sober,
call.
and this is cool. We want to be on this. You know what I'm saying?" And then like next thing I know, it's like we're at a funeral Wednesday, we're at a funeral Thursday, and then we're playing a show where we're raising money for them. And I see grandpa, and I see sisters, and I see family members and nieces and nephews of all of these people together celebrating the life. You know what I'm saying? We were able to be a part of that. We were able to bring all of those people together into one place. There was like 220 fucking people at the Green Derby. There was 60 or 70 people standing outside just because you couldn't get in. It was the most nuts. It's still to this day probably the most packed house I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Ever.
hands down.
And that right there sealed it. I was like, we're doing something with our lives that actually matters.
Sure. You're touching people.
And so the being together, the practice,
Yep.
but also everything we went through a year and a half later or so, IC stepdad, who is one of my best friends, was murdered. That was when he took a year off. That was when we ended up having Blake and Aaron Jaracek, who's another guitarist for the Birds,
Shout
come
out
in and just held it together. We just kept pushing forward. We were fucking broken. And so when we come together today and they're like, well, where's the chemistry and everything coming from? I think that's a really big part of it, is that like we have suffered together.
So was that your first gig?
That was our
second gig.
Where's your first gig?
The shop.
The shop. Yeah.
Shop.
And it was
in
packed
Derby.
as hell too. It was awesome. I threw up like 4 times before we got there. I threw up before every show for the first 4 years, probably.
So how many shows did you guys play before you picked up Steve?
It was about 75. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your our 75th show was his first show.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It was a
So
battle of
about
the
2 years.
bands.
And we won.
And we won.
And we won.
Steve's first show was a battle, and we were like, "Fuck
What-
it." We
what
wrote
was that for? What Battle of the Bands?
That was
Was
the
that at
the
Steel
Steel
Bar?
Bar.
Yeah.
And that's when we met Rivalries, and those dudes are great too.
Rivalries
Shout out to
aside.
Rivalries.
Yeah.
Aside.
Shout out.
They got a
Love those
couple big
guys.
shows coming up this weekend.
I also want to give a shout out to the Green Flamingos. We played them at this
Man, I
most
saw
recent
that.
Battle
Yeah.
of the Bands, and those guys are dope, man. And I just
We're
I
gonna
hope
get into that because you guys went up against some stiff competition in that Battle of the Bands out at Stearman Field, and I'm not just saying that. You know, Piper Lee,
yep.
the Green Flamingos,
Yep.
Epic, or
Flashpoint, Left
yes.
Without Notice.
yeah, Epic wasn't on there. I'm sorry, but I was
No,
thinking Flashpoint.
And then trying to think of there was a few other bands in the days we weren't there.
Was
though.
it Capybara?
And we also played King Slug, man, and
King
those guys,
Slug,
dude, they
yeah.
got a cool energy.
Those guys were really
Yeah,
cool.
I've ran sound for those guys. They're good.
Yeah.
They got a really neat sound.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think you bring to this now that we've heard about everybody else's accolades and how cool they were, but what do you bring?
I think my best quality is probably songwriting. We have just a lot of good chemistry,
Sure.
Parts that I lack in, Tony's really good. He can pick up the slack in lyrics and stuff like that. And I always hate writing lyrics, so I love to just focus on the music.
So is that basically how a song starts with you guys? Tony starts some lyrics, or does IC start some riffs, or do you start a bass line, or how's it work?
It's kind of changing right now.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of everything, kind of. A lot of times, Tony will have an idea, and then we finish constructing it, or like Waiting on Service came with an idea.
That's off your last album. We're going to talk
Yes.
about that here in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song started, actually, it was funny. That song started like kind of as a jam. Steve had a bass line. And so when we first, we had lost Jesse and we said, we're not canceling any shows. We met Steve, hired Steve, and we're like, we're just going to play right the fuck through.
Rock on.
We're going to play right the fuck through. His second show or third show was at the Old Settlers, freaking
Mulvane.
Uncle Roy's. Yeah, doing like a 4-hour set.
Yeah.
Steve was amazing. There's so much that I'll never be able to say how awesome it is to have Steve Shields in the band.
Oh, thank you.
Like he shouldered so much weight right at the beginning, and yes, his writing ability is freaking awesome. Waiting on Service, so he was like, he quit his job up at Applebee's. He was like, well, now I got time to be in the band. He was kind of joking. And so we're rehearsing all this shit for the fucking battle at the time and everything else that we need to rehearse. And we just needed to jam. And it was kind of the beginning of a beautiful relationship between me and Steven Shields because we love to write songs. That is probably that's what he said. That's what I would say too. What's your best thing? Writing songs. And so we were jamming, and I remember at this time too, IC was even a little mad. He's like, "We got to get." IC's always trying to keep us on track, which is fucking great too.
I can see that in him right now.
Right? Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And Steve was like, "Well, I'm going to play his bass line." And I just freestyled the lyrics, and that whole song pretty much came out in like 2 minutes right there.
It is a good song. And one of the things that I like the most about that CD is that, the times that I've seen you guys, I've never really seen a full show because, for whatever reason, it's in and out. But one of the things that I appreciate about watching you guys is that you have a sound, but you go so much outside the bounds of that sound. You have some that sounds a little bit like hip hop, but still stays true to you. You have some that sounds a little bit like blues because of IC that still stays true to you. Just kind of take me through I know you guys call yourself alternative rock, but you got a little different sound than that.
That is the hardest thing you could ever ask
know.
is
Yeah.
to define art.
Yeah.
What do you think it is, IC?
Man, at the base of it, yeah, we're all alternative rock fans.
Sure,
we
you're
all
fans.
We're all, yeah. As far as me, I grew up playing Jimi Hendrix, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin. So
And it tells in your guitar.
yeah. So when I'm soloing, that's usually the frame of reference I'm coming from.
Right.
So that's usually me. I'm more of a blues, classic rock type of player.
Yeah.
But I love Sublime. They're probably my favorite band.
And that's the band I think you guys most relate to, actually. I think, and I wouldn't call Sublime an alternative rock. Would you, Luke? I mean,
Yes.
it's stoner rock, maybe.
I would call it
Somewhere in
alternative
between.
rock.
Ska.
Yeah.
Somewhere it kind of happened at the same time as a lot of.
Ska
Yeah, but it was
works.
so different than Pearl Jam and
Right.
those kind of, I mean,
Yeah,
grunge
they're
rock.
definitely
and
not that kind of alternative.
yeah. So
That encompasses such a broad section of
And
music.
they themselves.
I think that's why that works for us, though, with alternative rock, is because For the Birds does encompass kind of a very broad spectrum.
yeah, I agree.
Like you're saying, from hip hop is huge.
I like the couple songs that you do when you break down and do a little rap, man. It's pretty good. It's
and we all love rap.
Yeah.
Like we are lovers of music.
That's
like,
good.
We basically got either really lucky or just really blessed, like it was destiny, because we were all like, we're just going to bring everything we like to the table and
I've
just
never heard
put
you
it
cover-
together. Just
Never heard
put
you
it
guys
together.
do a country
Put it-
song though. I'm just saying.
We have.
I haven't heard it.
There's one that Tony wrote. Whiskey.
Yeah.
It's kind of country.
Country
Kinda
bluegrass,
country-ish.
baby.
Yeah.
And we did like at times we've done like Garth Brooks and we've done a few other things. We tried doing Johnny Cash for a little bit,
Yeah.
and I wasn't prepared at that time. I'll tell you that. To perform stuff like that.
I'm in a unique position because I've kind of seen you guys come along the last several years. I think we played I think I came and saw you guys probably about 2013. It was before Steven for sure, 2014 maybe, and it was at the Green Derby. And then I've seen you play a couple times since, and I think one of the things that I've noticed the most, not only are you guys tighter on stage, but it's more of a show now. It's more of a production than just good music. Steven, can you tell me anything about what you guys have added over the last, let's just say 18 months? Because I know in the last 12 months you've added even some stuff. What all have you guys added to your actual show that makes the fan experience a little bit better?
And one thing I got to bring up is Brian on lights, man. Cannot do it without him.
Brian Lindsay, we love you, man.
Yeah, he's brought a lot to the table. I feel like that makes us feel like we're putting on a show a little bit more, and
It makes it a rock show.
yeah,
For real.
definitely.
yeah.
And I know that Tony's probably going to touch on this a little bit. It's not just Brian that's brought a little bit more production to you guys. You guys have some other players that have brought in some stuff too, like Gus Ruiz and Rusty Patterson. And
Yeah, basically, yeah. The moment we met Gus, we took a whole step up because we were basically dudes shouting into a PA that we didn't know how to use.
right,
And so, yeah, the advent of having sound, then being able to hear yourself on stage. I can't even, I watched the videos from back then. I'm like, why were people even coming to these shows? You know what I'm saying? They were coming to support us because we didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
and they
At
probably
all.
saw some talent.
And they definitely saw a lot of passion. I think that if there was one word to describe the band, that would be it. There's a lot of passion. We really believe in whatever it is that we're doing. We can't even define it at times, but we believe in it, and I think that shows. And I think that's being so adding in Brian coming through with the lights and everything and perfecting a show. Working on that in practice. We try to practice.
Now he wasn't a professional sound person before he came into this. He's kind of learning with you guys,
Right,
too,
yeah.
right?
The very first time he ever ran lights or did anything was the first show that we met him. He had just gotten some lights, and he was like, he wanted to get involved. He had a band, Huffy and the Night Train. God, I hope that's right.
Yes.
And those guys are fucking a lot of fun.
Man,
Yeah,
just
they were.
talking about
Man.
those guys. Was it me and you, or
Don't know if
Yeah.
it was me and you, but I'm
I was
very
just
familiar
talking?
with it.
I was
We
just
produced
talking with
them here,
somebody.
too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so we were doing the Cancer Stupid benefit at Aeroplanes. We were in the last spot that night. And I was like, hey, man, you just want to keep all these lights up here for us? You already got them up here. He was like, yeah, man, yeah. And I'm like, cool. And so we played, and he was like, whoa, you guys are serious. And we're like, hey, well, that was fucking cool. We're getting into it because now the lights are going to it. He's actively pursuing the vision, and so we became friends, and then we became more than that. Now I would say he's more than he's kind of like a manager. He pushes us and always is a great member of the team. And so that, then we got our own PA. and we just kept working on bringing the pain every fucking time. You know
So
what I'm
now
saying?
you guys do your own sound, or is it still?
We've been
Gus
running
and
our own
Rusty?
sound. No,
Yeah.
we have our own PA. Basically, I'm running the sound, but we're also in a we just work as a team. You know what I'm saying? You get
Sure.
there, they'll move more of the stuff, and I'll set more of the stuff up and run it, and it works. And then Brian, I can't say enough about again, when we met Steve, then we met Brian,
Things
and
are
we
falling
had
in place.
things just fall into place. You put in the work. That was something that IC talked about that we had to reiterate, is that just so much work. You got to put in the work. You got to work. You got to work. You got to work. You got to live it. You got to breathe it. You got to eat it every fucking day, all the time. You're going to have fights with your wife. You're going to have so much shit try to get in the way of what you want to do, and you got to work. And then you're going to have fights with these guys, dude. You know what I'm saying? Close to fist fights sometimes, man. Steven, I can't, we won't even go into it, but, it's like being married to fucking 4 people at once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's worse than being married to 4 people.
Yeah.
But you all have this same goal, the same vision, and then as you all start to believe, that's when the magic happens. At first, it's is this really gonna happen? Is this happening? And everybody starts to believe, and then things just start rolling, and then all of a sudden we do meet these people who want to invest, and we do meet, these people who are going to be there and help us from either moving speakers or to pick us up. After when we didn't win that Battle of the Bands, I'm gonna tell you, we were all fucking shocked. You know what I'm saying? We were all fucking shocked. The entire fucking fan base was shocked. And they were there. They were there to hold us together, because it was personal, because it did fucking hurt. And Capybara is a great fucking band. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take that away from them at all. But just the response from the fan base, the response from the other bands in town, the
You
producers.
guys were literally bussing fans in. I mean, that was,
and it was cool,
Yeah.
and they loved it, and we loved it, and we had a great time. And
I thought that was a great marketing trick too. And not necessarily a trick, but I've always thought that there needs to be a church bus on Fridays and Saturday nights that goes around and picks people up and takes them to venues. And then drops them.
how do we make that happen?
Yeah, that's a good
It's
idea.
That happens for Sunday schools. I don't know why it can't happen for bars on Sundays. I mean, Saturday nights and Friday nights. But one of the things that Tony was touching on was, you guys working at your art. And I know I've seen you at several jams in the last 6 months or so, and even in that 6 months, I've seen your style just kind of change. Is that something that you're actively searching out as to something to broaden your base by going to jams? What is it about the jams that is starting to attract you there?
It's a good way to get myself out there and play when we're busy or we have some downtime. And absolutely, I'm always looking for new ways to expand what I'm doing. 'Cause there's times where I get in a rut,
Sure.
and there's times where I get really pissed off at the guitar, like fuck, I need to learn something new, do something, So it's cool being around all these players because they're all really experienced and they're all great musicians, and so playing with new people in general brings something out of you. But playing with people that are professional musicians and are older than you, I learn a lot about myself.
Isn't it crazy though? I mean, I've been in the jam scene for several years, and I love seeing guys like you come in that haven't been around the scene for a while, and I love seeing guys that have been in the scene for 20 years come in, because even the several times that you and I played some of the same songs together, they've changed every jam, because it's almost competitive in a sense, but it's not competitiveness. It's just he stepped up, I need to step up too.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. Luke says that all the time. Iron sharpens iron, So
You're like the jam master, Glenn.
I don't know,
you are.
man.
You are.
I love being
Jam
out.
Master Jay
I
over
love
here.
being out playing music, man,
Yeah.
and listening to music and talking about music, and I just that's why I'm here today. So
And you host the Thursday night jams at Elbow Room.
that's right. Yeah,
Is that-
it's a blast, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good song.
I see, and I get down.
So also, while we're with breaching out and stuff, Steven has been working with a lot of musicians and recording a little bit of his own time.
I've heard a
has
little bit about
page
this.
called Audio Pareidolia.
Audio Pareidolia.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, basically, I've just been, hanging out with some musicians. We get together usually like on a Sunday or something like that, and we'll have a jam, write something that day, record it, and then I try to refine it through the week. This week I had Debish come out and lay down a vocal. That guy can really sing, so I'm excited to see what I can do with his voice. Do a little bit of mixing and stuff.
Wow. Well, speaking of mixing, you guys have recorded right where we're sitting too.
Yes.
So
And it was a magical experience.
you guys are currently recording right now, right?
Well, so we have a track recorded that we're getting ready to put out. We're putting some finishing touches on it,
That's
and
what I thought.
we're going to release it with the video. And then also, I want to mention the album 3 for the Birds is
In the
under
works.
construction.
Yeah.
We have to continue to put out music. As much as we learn from playing the shows in the bar and putting on a show, the experience of doing that. Every time it seems that we come and we track an album, we come out way different than we were before. And so I think our goal is to put out an album a year at least.
Wow.
And that
Big time.
like not only do we get the music to the fans and get them fresh stuff, but
But we
in a
keep
selfish
writing.
way, in a
Yeah.
selfish way, it's about us. We want to evolve. We want to keep moving forward, and we can't do that if we're not making music.
Well, since you guys are talking about making music, man, let's hear some music. You guys want to hear a song here? Is there a song you want us to play?
Sure. Waiting on Service. It's
Got
on
it.
our second album, and it's the album that we just released.
Let's hear it, Luke.
You got it.
Do what feels good to you. Okay, that's your job. That's your job in there. Is to do what you want to. Be fucking sunshine and rainbows. It's gonna be a challenge. And if you're feeling it, and look out here. Look it out here. I'm gonna be fucking moving and shaking. Yep, let's track it.
Running all day, just waiting on service. Please stop me before if you heard this. I don't know what you think that you're worth. This is not too late to relate. I'm on the servant. Fuck customer service, but never say die. I'm gonna make it if it kill me. Take a million and I'm left alone. Stone cold, the phone dry. I'm thinking it's fine. Realign my mind to the prime time line. Yeah, it's a matter of fact. I think I'll take my time. Yeah. Seems to me that you don't see where we drew that line. It's a matter of fact. I think I'll take my time. Yeah. Seems to me that you don't see where we drew that line. Take a moment to rewind and focus. I've been there since before and you know this. I don't know what it takes to get noticed. Could use a little help, leap from the hole where my soul is. But I'll never say die. I'ma make it if it kills me. Takes a million and I'm left alone. Don't call the phone dry. I'm thinking it's fine. Realign my mind to the prime time line. Yeah, it's a matter of fact. I think I'll take my time. Yeah, it seems to me that you don't see where we drew that line. It's a matter of fact. I think I'll take my time. Yeah, seems to me that you don't see where we drew that line. Where we drew that line. Running all day, just waiting on service. Please stop me before if you heard this. I don't know what you think that you're worth. This is not too late to relate. I'm on the servant. Fuck customer service, but never say die. I'ma make it if it kills me. Takes a million and I'm left alone. Don't call the phone dry. I'm thinking it's fine. Realign my mind to the prime time line. Yeah, it's a matter of fact. I think I'll take my time. Yeah. Seems to me that you
Hell yes. Man. See, that had exactly what I was talking about. Had all aspects of For the Birds. It had a little bit of R&B in it, right? It had a little bit of R&B feel to it. Had some of the Sublime. It had some of the rap. It had some great vocals, man. That's you guys right there. Tell me how this song came about.
Well, I guess I wrote the riff. The riff came first, and
In a different key.
yes,
Was it?
originally I wanted to play it in D.
Big argument about that.
Yeah, that was a big argument.
He showed it
Steven
to me
likes
in
the D.
E. He showed it.
It is kind of my go-to key, I guess. Yeah.
He showed it to me in E, and then we wrote the lyrics in E, and we jammed it in E. And then he was like, "Well, actually, it's in D." And I was like, "We tried to do it, and it just broke me in half. I wasn't good enough to bring it to like it just changed the whole feel at the time, and we were playing it for the battle because we wanted to do something that Steve was comfortable with.
That's kind of a cool concept too, and I don't think a lot of people that aren't musicians realize that you know, especially coming from a cover aspect, you know, we cover a lot of songs, but we don't hardly ever cover them in the same key. You know, it's because it either doesn't fit my voice, or we think the guitar riff sounds better in a different key.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you guys brought that up because that's such an important part of creating a song is having it in a key that A, your singer can sing and is comfortable, but B, your guitars and bass sound good. You know, and the drummer, they're going to sound good in any key usually, but you know, it's definitely something that is a level up in songwriting. So I'm glad you guys touched on that. So this is on your second album. Where did you guys record your first album?
We recorded it with Brody Wellman in his basement.
I love Brody, man.
And we recorded it over a long period of time.
Did you get to see his little wood burning stove down there?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
all
like we kicked it.
all the quilts hanging off the wall to keep the sound from going from one room to the other. Yeah, he's got a cool little setup.
Yeah.
And we even had so
very
Brody.
boho,
We were with Brody in the old place and Brody in the new place.
Yeah, 3 of the songs in the were recorded at Brody's.
3 of the new off
on the second
album.
album. Tracks 4,
6, and 8. Actually,
I don't know if that's right.
it is.
Automatic.
No, it is.
Automatic,
Living This Way.
we did there. Living This
Can't Hold
Way,
Me
we did
Down.
there.
Can't Hold Me Down.
Can't
Yeah,
Hold Me Down, we
Automatic.
did there. And actually, Can't Hold Me Down, we also did in Nashville at Blackbird Studios. This was before Steve.
yeah.
And that was a cool experience.
Wow.
And again, it was my homie Blake, who was originally from the Operators. And then he filled the void when IC, after Ron had passed, and IC took a break from For the Birds for a year, at least a year. And we had Aaron and Blake in the band. And so he was an engineer down there. He was like a student engineer, and we were a project, like a school project. He called me. He's like, you know,
remember that.
I could get a band here in Nashville because of course you can. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I could do like that, but he was
Go
like,
down to
if you
Denny's
can,
and get a band,
if you can afford it and get
because they were all
down
waiting
here.
tables because every musician in Nashville has another job because there's so many
Right,
musicians.
it's insane. But he calls me. He was like, and it was a good time because it was a time of big stress for the band at the time. This is pre-Little Steve time, but it's a pretty important time in the band. And so we had that. Now all of a sudden we had this opportunity to go record in like this multi-million-dollar studio. You know what I'm saying? Steve got to pick drums, and I know he would want to talk about this. Shout out to Steve Wood, our drummer, because he's not here, but he really wanted to be. And dude, there was a room full of, I don't know, and IC was there, so he can vouch. It's like there had to be hundreds
I
of
saw the
drums.
pictures.
Hundreds,
I think IC
hundreds.
posted some pictures on his
He
Instagram.
picked some Italian drum set that there was only like 8 of in the world.
Yeah, it was expensive.
You know, I was like, this is what you know, Steve's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, man. Yeah. All right. Like, get it. And it was a really cool experience. We could, like, as we pulled up, who was it? Kings of Leon
Kings of
was there
Leon.
recording.
Oh wow!
We didn't get to meet him, but
And I hope that, like,
I'm so jealous of this story. I wish I could have been there.
yeah, like, we didn't see anybody or anything like that. We did meet
we met
the owner,
the owner, John
McBride?
John McBride. Yes.
McBride.
And
About the
we got to
nicest guy you'll
record.
know.
We got to record like where the Dixie Chicks were recording,
Yeah.
and Chili Peppers, and it was a really fucking
Big
cool
room.
experience.
Yeah, it was yeah.
There was multiple rooms. You know, they had like this fucking gymnasium essentially with mics, and then another room where that shot off from the drums, and the roof it raised and it lowered.
Huh.
You know, and so we recorded some music there, and the thing that sucked is like, so we traveled like 15 hours, no sleep. We were crashing on Blake's apartment, you know. I would be there with my wife and Jesse and IC, and at one time, Jesse's lady and Steven all crashing in this fucking 1-bedroom apartment, recording, like not sleeping, recording all motherfucking day, going
Doesn't
back,
it sound like
crashing.
the story of every rock band, though?
Drinking.
Drugs, drinking.
We
sleeping
weren't
together.
doing any
I mean,
drugs.
just-
I wasn't doing any drugs.
But yeah, but your whole story sounds like you guys have been through the whole.
We
Rolling
might have been.
Stones.
We might have. Oh, okay, earlier, yeah. But at this point in time, like, no, I'm there with my wife, Christy. I love you, and also, yeah, shout out to everybody else, Danny Rother and family, Troy Sparks and family. Got a lot of great supporters that I wanted to give a
Shout
shout
out to my wife, Sabrina Shields.
And Steven's family.
Yes. Oh, and my family. Yeah.
I was saying
My
Steven
dad
Wood's
and
family.
Jen and IC.
Yeah.
Chris.
I can
and
always
Allie.
remember your dad's name, IC. It's pretty easy. And your granddad's name.
Yeah.
And his dad's name.
Yeah.
So you guys talked about Brody Wellman, man. You know, one of the things I like a lot about Brody, and I think this is probably what attracted you guys to him. And I'll kind of segue this into something here in a second. But Brody's got an ear, man.
Yeah.
It's not just that he's skilled in mixing things, but he's got an ear, and I think that's also what Luke has. And I know you guys have done some tracks here at Red Cat. You know, tell me a little bit about what you've done here at Red Cat.
It kicked the ass.
Man.
Yeah.
Luke's got it going on there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Fun
did-
is a good description for sure.
Man, we did most of our second album here at Red Cat.
Where else did you do your second album?
At Brody's.
At
Yeah,
Brody's,
Living This
yeah.
Way, Can't Hold Me Down, and Automatic we did at Brody's
It
new
took-
place.
It took a while. It was hard for us to get our schedules to fit with Brody.
Yeah.
I love Brody, and we had a lot of fun with Brody, and he got me. Like, I feel like we're friends. We're closer than that, you know. And I feel that way with Luke too. We had to be intimate to
Yeah.
do what we do. That may sound crazy, but you at least have to try to do that.
Yeah.
We had to be vulnerable, and so we got here with Luke, and we put that on him immediately. He put that on us immediately, and he wasn't silent. He was like, "Look, this," you know. He had push. He had drive. He's like, "This is what I." And so very, very quickly, I began to say, "Hey, is this good? Is this good? You know, how is this going to work? You
That's
know?"
what
And
I
so
like
we
about Luke.
we worked
I do.
it together, and we built that album together. You know, and at first I was like, I don't know. To be honest, Luke, at first I was like, man, I don't know if this is all going to work. You know, are we going to be able to get there? And you have to have that. You just have to build trust, and that's something that we did here. And
Yeah, it don't just start out of nothing. You know, you gotta have to
by the
build
end of the
something.
album, I feel like we were really ripping shit up.
Yeah, I know I came down to, I don't remember what, but I came down while you guys were recording one of your tracks, and I got to sit in the control room and listen to a little bit of it, and I was like, this is a completely different band than their first album.
Yeah, you
you
even
know,
said so at the time.
Yeah, I was like, you know, these guys have changed for the better, and not that you're bad to begin with, and not that Brody didn't have everything he could have out of you guys, but, you know, playing together, always, you know, having that chemistry, you guys have changed into a different band. So I think that's probably going to relate to, you know, we're going to go ahead and give it away. There's a third album coming up. So, you know, what's the plans with that?
Yeah, well, right before we get to that, we also have to mention a huge difference. A huge difference in the second album is that Steven Shields was playing the bass.
Sure.
Right,
Different players do mean different
and
things.
and
you know.
Casey Tavares was no longer a singer. A lot of people don't realize that, and a lot of our fans. So Bird Nation, I'll tell you now. You know what I'm saying? Casey was
Bird Nation.
singing at least half of that song, half of that album,
First
and
album.
and wrote at least half of that album. And Jesse was playing the bass, and so for us, it was an incredible achievement because we learned so much from both of them to be able to put out an album without them that I think they both support. Like that makes me pretty fucking happy.
Yeah, I think you should be. You should be proud of your progress too, because I've seen it come along. One of the things that I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about is that one of the things I've also seen as I've come along is your fan base increase. You know, and I just kind of wanted to dive into a little bit about what you guys do to get, you know, and Luke and I talk about this every week. The most important thing that can happen to Wichita is putting butts in seats. No, and butts in seats means we're all successful. And So how do you guys get butts and seats?
Be a part of your fan base.
Meaning,
Know 'em.
Engage with them inside and outside venues.
Yeah, don't even engaging is good. Engage the audience, but be a part of your fan base.
make it feel like it's something special.
Hang
to
out
them.
with them, give them shout outs.
Like a lot of the people that come, I know them on a personal level. You know what I'm saying? I've been at Greg's house on
Well, that's okay
Thanksgiving.
when you
Lots
have
of these
200
different
fans,
people.
but have you guys been able to do that now that you're over 1,000 fans on Facebook? And I'm using Facebook as a measure, because it's the only really stat you can measure. I mean, because obviously you guys don't buy fans on Facebook. There's some bands that go out and you have 10,000 likes on Facebook, but they have 0 comments and they have zero likes on any of their posts. But you guys have a little over, I think, 1,200 or 1,300 likes on Facebook. But every time you post something,
And
there's
that's
30 or 40
it's
shares. There's
It's organic.
25 or,
It's organic.
So those are real fans. Those are not bought.
Yeah.
So what is it? How do you do it from 10 fans when you started to 1,200 fans, and how
We
are you going to
started
keep it up to
with more than
20,000?
10 fans.
It's just as a, what I'm saying.
It just by being I think the biggest thing that has made For the Birds as successful is because it's who we are. We're honest. The music is honest. It's not a fabrication. You're going to come see a fun show, and yet we've added more production, but it's who we are. And I think people identify with that. They're just like, hey, this is real. And we've always said, like, everybody, when we started, they're like, hey, you're going to have to play covers and try and sneak your originals. And we just started playing originals. We just did from the beginning. And we brought enough people in the very
I
beginning.
was probably the one that gave him that advice, to be honest, because.
And I was talking to you early in the career, and
yes.
everybody, you said, and then other people had, they had told us that when we booked at the casino, we booked with an album. We booked with the first album. We didn't book with a video of us playing covers. And she hit us back, and she was like, "Can you play covers?" And we're like, "Yeah, we can."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Can you just do that?" And we were like,
everybody can play.
we were like,
covers.
"No." And she's like, "Well, can you?" And we were like, "Yeah, not really," And then we went there and just
I've seen
did
you
our
guys do
thing,
some covers,
all of
though.
our
But we brought like a freaking 100 people to the
Yeah.
bar there, and they were like, "Holy shit!
that's why they
These
have you
you
back
can
every
do
6
whatever you
weeks."
want." And it was a lot of fun.
So you guys mentioned that your light guy is going to be starting to do some management tasks, and
he already is. He's basically just a full-fledged team member. He's
is
a bird.
Is he the one that's doing some of the booking stuff? 'Cause I've noticed that your bookings, because and we're all friends in this room, so I can say it. You guys were limited to Derby for a long time, and then all of a sudden, boom. So somebody had some responsibility in
I
that.
think that's Tony, man. Honestly, Tony's been doing a lot of the booking and taking.
So where's the next
the head
step?
on
Is
that.
this going to be your manager? Is it going to still be Tony, or is it going to be?
Oh, I'm definitely like the acting manager, whatever. Like, it's got to be a team. It's got to be a network. And that there's a lot of fighting about that in the band,
And
and
we've
you
shared
know that.
responsibilities. Like
Exactly.
Like I've got us some shows. Little Steve got
Everybody's
a show. Big
getting
Steve.
shows.
Man, I tried to get you
Our
guys
upcoming
a show.
show.
Hey, that's
no,
okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
That's
That,
okay.
man.
We've
It is
been
what it
rolling.
is.
We've been rolling so hard. Like, we're all ready for a little bit of time to finish
Some
this
writing
album.
time.
That's what we're really looking forward to. We played so many shows. Like, we do like playing shows. We like making money.
What do you guys got coming up?
August 31st, we'll be at the Port.
Woo woo.
September 13th, we'll be at the Shamrock.
With Left Without Notice, and those
We just
dudes
had Justin
are
Brown in
awesome.
here. We just had Justin Brown in here last week, and
Awesome.
you guys were a topic of conversation when we were talking out on the patio too. He was excited to get you guys come in because it's your first time at the Shamrock since he's been there, right?
I don't think so.
Well, I think. But maybe
Is that
that's-
what he
yeah.
said?
I don't know if that's what he said or if
think
that's
he's
what I
just
took.
pumped. I
Because
Is he the owner?
Because, like, we
his
missed
owner?
the show. We missed the show.
Yeah, we got double booked.
Because he also is co-owner of Barley Corns.
Barley Corns and Snug
Yeah.
Harbor, right?
Yeah, he's cool. And no, so I've met him when we've played there at the Chamois.
Either way, he's excited to have you guys in.
Yeah, he is. I think
so.
it's different. Yeah, I'm sorry. He is like on Facebook. He's pumped. I'm pumped.
Yeah, he's
we're
pumped.
getting each other pumped.
And
on
one of our
Facebook.
biggest fans is one of your guys' biggest fans too, and I always like to see Joe Williams post from Mad Rocks. Man, he gets excited about you guys, and I think that's a testament to what you guys bring because bar owners don't get pumped about bands. They get pumped about people who bring in, and it doesn't matter if they're good or bad or whatever, but these guys are genuinely singing your praises, and I think that's something that you guys should be proud of, and Joe Williams is a perfect example, and I hope we get Joe Williams on the podcast soon.
You should.
Joe's
He's
Joe's
fucking
cool
awesome, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He came out to the Battle of the Bands support both times.
He's been out to several of our shows at other venues,
He
and
talks
it's
about
like
you guys.
Well, and I'm not saying that to. That's what I like about Joe. It's not just, hey, I like you guys when you're in my building. I like you guys. That's what he is, and that, I think that's cool. So, and that's no different than Kenny Ballinger and a lot of the venue owners and I Justin Brown is a perfect example of that. Justin's been in several of our shows that haven't been in 3 of his bars. So, I think you guys have brought the heat when it comes to not just convincing fans, but convincing venue owners that you can bring the heat. That's a task more difficult than getting fans. I mean, getting venue owners to become fans of you.
You just got to bring the pain every time. You got to come every time prepared to do everything it takes. And you'll get laughed at. You know what I'm saying? Like, as we were learning, it wasn't easy, but you just give it. You just do. You give it everything you have every single time. Every single time. And that's what we try to do. And people, we have shows where people are pissed at each other, and we'll be fucking duking it out on stage, looking at each other like, I fucking hate you, but you're still, at that point, we play better.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, well, you're not gonna outdo me.
I'm still pretty upset that I had to miss the last show with you guys, because we had a show booked at the Green Derby together, and I had some problems with my throat that week. I had a couple of vocal nodes that went south. I mean, it was looking like I wasn't gonna be able to sing or talk for a long time. I think it was 4 or 5 weeks that I wasn't able to do anything.
Man, that's scary.
It was scary.
You're scaring me right now.
And that was the only show I've ever missed. But Spencer stepped in and took over. And
it was cool. It was fun.
I heard it was a cool show, man.
Yeah.
I tried to watch a little bit on Facebook, but I was too jealous.
Yeah. No, Spencer, he did good too.
Yeah.
I love Spencer.
Well, I think, speaking of Spencer, because he's kind of the second singer in our band, I think that's something that's unique to you guys as well. Icy's a hell of a singer, man.
I'm so glad you brought that up, man, because it's critically important.
And he does several of his own songs, man.
And does them really well.
And
we want him to do more.
You don't
You know what I'm saying? We're trying
to
to push him to do more.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to push him to do more. As soon as we get IC going more, we need to get, because Steve is also a really good singer.
Steve, what's the problem, man? How come you're not up yet?
He does songs.
It's not something I practice as much as these guys probably. But.
And even Stephen Wood, he's on the first album and on the second album.
I didn't know that either.
Singing. And just a few spots.
Backups.
Yep, some backups.
On the first album, on the song Way Steep, at that time when it's like, he's like, at daybreak, we ride.
So
That's
you guys,
Steven.
so you guys have been together since about 2012, and you've kind of seen the rise and fall, as it were, from the Wichita music scene, and that's, I think you're in a unique perspective because you're coming up on a decade of playing music in Wichita. Which sounds crazy, right?
Yeah. It feels crazy, dude.
So what
you say it like that, it
we've
makes me
got
feel old.
on the station right now. We've got over 160 bands that are submitting music to us, on a regular basis. What kind of advice would you give, IC, to a brand new band that's coming out saying we want to be like For the Birds? What would you tell them to start with?
Man, I would say get together with your bandmates, play as often as you can. And listen to each other, man. That's critically important. Listen to each other, be there for one another, hang out as much as you can, listen to as much music as you can, and strive to be better than what you were the day before.
I think that's great advice. We're pretty fortunate in Wichita to have some great bands.
Yeah.
And I think if you listen to our top 10, or even if you just listen for an hour to ict-radio.com, you'll hear so many different genres, but they're so good.
Yeah.
What are some bands that you listen to that are in the area, Tony?
All right, so Left Without Notice, obviously.
I like Left Without Notice, man.
Man, I love
I
those
bet you're
guys.
gonna say In Retrospect too.
I am gonna say in
I
retrospect.
like in retrospect.
You know, I'm also gonna say Flashpoint. I'm gonna say Tequila Ridge.
Well,
Yeah.
you have to because I'm in the room, but I do like some
You know,
Flashpoint,
Mountain
man.
Dew Revival.
We just had them in a couple weeks ago, man.
Yeah, I saw
Dale,
that.
Dale
have a-
Shuey is the one who first
Dale Shuey's
really
a
gave
cool
me the
cat.
scope on how to play the guitar. And
I
we
can
like
kinda see
we're like
that
family.
now that
We
you
don't
say that, yeah.
we don't see each other. We don't see each other hardly ever. We did.
I had no idea about that. I had no idea that you had any relationship at all with Dale Shuey. And who would think that? You know, I know Dale Shuey came from a metal background, but I would have never thought
Yeah.
that you guys were friends.
Yeah, we had a mutual friend. He's who passed, and he was actually the first guy who got me into guitar. His name was Mike Perry.
Okay.
And his Fender is actually an inheritance as a guitar I used up until very recently for almost 8 years. Played it at every show.
Yep.
Abused at every show.
Yeah, and it's finally
Abused and abused.
it's finally I'm using a new guitar.
Oh, nice.
You know. So, but that's how I knew Dale. And so when he passed, like I didn't really know Dale, but Dale was like, "Hey, I'll show you how to play." And basically, he just kind of sat me down and gave me the
You can't
modes.
get a person better than Dale Shuey,
No.
man. Dale and Monica, they're just of the earth, you know, both of them.
Oh,
I
yeah,
dig
Monica,
the crap out of them.
She's awesome.
She is,
Yeah.
and there's about to be a new Shuey coming up too. I don't know.
She was
Yeah.
good friends with my sister, and that's like the whole connection there.
That's cool.
It was my sister and Mike were engaged.
Oh, I see. So where are we going from here, Steven? I mean, what's the next step you think for the Birds?
Well, we're going to be definitely writing here soon. I think November is the plan to just like take a couple months and start really writing.
I'm gonna write that down so I can book some shows that we actually have people that show up. So in November is when you guys are taking time off. So we're scheduling heavy in
We're
November.
shooting a music video.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where are you doing that at?
There's really no concrete location that we know of. The guys that are shooting the video, one of them actually works with me, and the other one, the actual director, he's buddies with this guy. So they've shot us the storyboards. And it basically follows the single,
Nice.
follows the song, and they haven't really told us exactly where we're going to be shooting, but it's definitely going to be in Wichita, around town, and it's
Nice.
going to be a good time.
Let me know. I'd be happy to come out and just be a fly on the wall in that process, man.
For sure.
You know, where do you think you guys are going, Tony?
Fucking anywhere we want to, man. You
That's
know what I'm
the
saying?
attitude to
As
have
long
right
as long as we put in the work, like there's nothing that's gonna stop us, unless like fate come like as some catastrophic thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we just got to keep putting in the work. People believe in us. We believe in ourselves. I believe in myself more now because people believe in us. You know, and that's like what your original question was like about. Well, how do you get an organic fan base? It's like 1,000 on Facebook, but it feels bigger than that. And it's because we're just ourselves. And we hang out and we're a part of the fan base, those critical people in the fan base. They come and they're there and they like, we want to be a part. And so anybody who wants to be a part just comes be a part. And we're about that.
You know, you guys have played some cool venues, you know, around town. I know you were at the Cotillion with the
Smells
Nirvana.
like, yeah.
Smells like Nirvana.
We also played the Hartman Arena,
Hartman
the
Arena.
Kansas Star
Yeah,
Arena.
There's not very many people that played Hartman Arena, man. That's pretty cool. So, where's some venues you want to go to this year? I see.
The Wave. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, that is a good suggestion. I definitely want to
That'd be
play the
dope.
Wave.
Jared Parsons, if you're listening, these guys are worth it.
Yeah, I mean, let's get in there, man. The Wave's really cool. I've seen a couple shows. I just saw St. Paul and the Broken Bones there.
Nice.
Awesome show.
Inside and outside.
Inside and outside. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, I saw the Toadies there. That was
Toadies.
an amazing show, man.
Yeah.
It was really cool. The Tits opened up for him.
Yeah,
I love the Tits.
yeah.
Yeah,
Scott
they're
Mackey's
really
band
fun.
is bad.
I want to play more casinos.
More casino. Yeah, man, really. My hope for 2020 is that we will get out and start doing some little tours. You know, let's hit up. Let's hit up
I think
Kansas
that's
City,
your next-
Oklahoma City.
I think that's your next logical step, and you guys have. I think you guys have the infrastructure to do it too, because everybody has, like you said in the beginning, a like mind and commonality of goals. And
Yeah.
what was it like recording with these guys, Luke?
Tony said something early on in the interview that something about passion, and the passion just right off the bat was, I knew it was going to be okay. They could hit wrong notes, they could hit bad beats, whatever, but I knew they had the passion, so I knew we was going to overcome any of that trouble. Just the pure passion alone, man, they brought it. And then
That's probably why you pulled IC in to do some sub work too.
yeah,
wasn't it?
we've been doing some of that lately, and that's Water Player. They're all players, and Stephen Wood, drummer, is not here tonight. He really is a monster drummer. He just lays it down, locks right in with it, and these guys can follow him. You know,
Steven is fearless.
he really is.
That's one of his best
Man, I can
qualities.
tell you from experience, if you don't have the guy in the back that's right, you don't have a right band.
He
you
like
know?
never falters, dude. He could be so mad. We could be in the biggest fight, which we have, dude. Me and Steven are more like brothers. We're all like brothers, but me and Steven definitely,
They fight like brothers.
yeah. And but when it comes to showtime, it's fucking on.
Yeah.
You know, he never falters. It
He's
doesn't
the most
matter.
level-headed one in the band.
He's like a brick wall. It
Yeah.
just steady.
Well, I
and
know.
just super dependable.
I know one of the things you guys have going for you, and we kind of talked about this pre-interview, is that your support system, and I know you have some names you want to list off, Tony, when we get to it there, but that's one of the things that I kind of admire the most about you is you have a road crew of loyal people that will go wherever you guys go and buy whatever you guys sell and do whatever you ask them to do. Tell me a little bit how that comes about. Is it something that was organic like we talked about, or is that something you guys had a vision of try to foster?
Definitely organic.
I would say though it was a vision. I think that everything has really. I would. I'm sorry. That's okay.
Well,
there are a lot of differences in between all of us.
Yeah.
But for me, this For the Birds has always seemed to be exactly where it needed to be, and
I
everything.
think-
like there was gonna be people. There had to be people. We would have gave up if there wasn't.
Sure.
For sure,
You know,
like
so-
the people that are there though in that circle you're talking about, that's organic love, man. Like they really give a shit about For the Birds, and those are the people that show up. They buy the merch. They're about. They bleed it. They bleed.
Yeah.
That's Bird Nation. So yeah, in a way, yeah, it is definitely planned, but man, our fan base is definitely organic, man. Like that.
Yeah. Tell some of the people you appreciate about Tony, would you? I mean, I know you have a list of people you wanted to shout out today.
Yeah, I got some of them earlier, but Brian, obviously, you know what? He's doing it. Christy, my wife, Danny
I
Rothert.
dig your wife, by the way. She and I have had some
She's
good
a great
conversations
musician
on-
in her own right.
I didn't know that, man. She and I talked on the patio a couple times, and she scolded me about my language, and which after listening to you, I can't believe. But
She just, you know what? That's what makes her great, and she's ferocious. She'll speak her mind. She's
yeah,
gonna,
she pretty much put me in place.
you know,
So,
But she really is an amazing singer.
she
I-
is.
She's on this new single.
I didn't
She,
know that.
and she's on the album too. She's on track 3, Traverse,
Awesome.
doing
That's
doing
right.
some
I
harmonies.
forgot about that. Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that too.
Yeah, she's laced in it a little bit here and there. She's really good, and she supports all this craziness. You know what I'm saying?
the thing that impressed me the most about her is I love the people that have courage of their own convictions. And I don't remember what it was that she talked to me about that night that I went over the line on something and said, and it obviously offended her, and she took the opportunity to tell me that, and it was very, very well done. She didn't make me feel nagged or you need to change. She's like she made a change in me, and I dug that, and I had respect from her.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
She's
it
gonna
really
dig that
was.
when she
Yeah.
listens to this.
Yeah. And if you're listening, I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure it changed. I just remember the experience.
Yeah, so I think I hollered at everybody that was on the list, but we like Greg Lawless wasn't on the list. That dude, he's always there. He's helping me. Bob Allison, right? So the band doesn't really like. One of the first level ups we got was our first PA. I was running karaoke with Allison sound.
Man, I cannot sing karaoke.
And
I just can't do it.
Yeah, I have to
That
have
was
an
a-
instrument in my hand to sing anything.
that was a huge part of the beginning
Horrible.
of me learning how to do the show, though. Like,
Really?
because I had to. You sing. I was making money, and that was cool. I was like, hey, now I wasn't great then. I don't even think that I'm like fucking that awesome now. But we get the
That's also
job
probably why
done.
you're
We get the
successful,
job
though.
done, and that's kind of what I learned doing the karaoke. It was like, okay, we'll just entertain them. Figure out how to entertain them. And so Bob, he ended up letting us have this PA, which like still to this day, I'm like, but like if we ever blow up Bob, I'm gonna hook him up, And so I want him to know that I remember that.
It's crazy how you kind of go through the steps of, even your own equipment and then your own songwriting processes. It's just like, why were we doing this before? Why did I have that type of sound before? And it just builds and builds and builds. And I think that's pretty awesome of you guys to be able to recognize where you come from, not losing it, and then making it better.
And you always got to feel like you're on the bottom.
Yeah.
I always feel like we're just starting. And I think we all kind of adopt that
I call
mentality.
that a Rocky syndrome, man. Rocky never felt like he was the best, but he was.
Yeah, the underdog.
So, Adrian. Well, guys, I sure appreciated having you in tonight. It's a cool thing that I get to talk to these musicians every week, and
It is a cool thing you're doing, Glenn.
man,
Thank you
that's
for
not what I
having
meant
us.
about that. I mean, I get to learn from bands, and I get to hear different, I get to hear different insights on what music is to other people, and it was a very interesting interview tonight, and I dig you guys coming in, and I sure appreciate it. So once again, we have For the Birds in the studio. We want to thank these guys
Hey.
for coming
What
out.
up?
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys give them a shout out on Facebook. If you do, go to one of their shows. They have a couple shows coming up. Tell me again.
August 31st at,
At
the
the
Port,
Port.
and then September 13th at the Shamrock.
We left without notice.
That's the most important thing you can do to support a band. If you can go to shows, that makes such an impact. Secondly, go up, like their Facebook page, like their Instagram. They're on Twitter as well at For the Birds ICT. But most importantly, go to shows.
It's all and also like the Facebook's For the Birds 316, Instagram For the Birds 316, YouTube For the Birds 316. We're repping the area code.
I got it right though. And you guys have a website too, though.
Yeah, we have a
For the
website.
Birds
For the Birds
music.com.
Music. iTunes. We're on Spotify.
Spotify,
Yeah. Amazon Music too.
Amazon Music, all of your digital platforms.
All your platforms.
And as well with us, you can listen to us on any podcast app. Make sure when you're there, you give us a like, give us a review. If it's 5 stars, that'd be great because that gets us up in the algorithm to hear, so other people can hear our whiskey stained
And
cigarette
you can
voices.
just log on and listen to local bands all the time.
But you can go to ict-radio.com and listen to us live every day, and follow us on Facebook at ict-radio. Once again, thanks to Luke down
Thank
here
you,
at the
Glenn.
beautiful Red Cat
Luke.
Recording, home of that big Red Cat sound.
Thank you. I love having you guys out. Thank you very much.
For
Thank
the
you.
Birds, thank you guys.
Adios.
Recorded live at Red Cat Recording, Peck, Kansas. Hosted by Glenn Shipman. Check out redcatrecording.com. Adios.
All right, so there you have it. Such a good interview.
Right? And that band is badass, dude.
Thank you, Glenn, Luke, Tony, IC. I can't remember the rest of them.
Sorry, guys.
All the guys from For the Birds, dude. I'm telling you, their live shows are on another fucking planet.
Yep.
I swear to God, if you walk away from a For the Birds show and are unhappy, there's something mentally wrong in your head. Like
Suck.
you have a
Suck.
fucking wire loose in your head because they're good, dude. And they put on it's so much different than anything you see. I mean, not even just around here. I think just
Period.
yeah, there's just some really cool shit that they do, and their music is super awesome. So
Yeah.
definitely thank you guys for sitting down and talking to Glenn and Luke, and thank you to Glenn and Luke for doing what you do.
Yep.
Tremendous help. And as always, you make us sound way better. You're way better at it than me and Eric.
Yeah.
God, could you imagine the train wreck that we've been today trying to interview any sort of band?
Yeah. I'm just going to stick to drinking my whiskey and
We're on 2 different pages today.
yeah, it's all good though. This is number 57, and man, we're starting to get some traction. But I will say, Derek, the top 10 countdown still rolling right along. Head on over to ict-radio.com to the Charts 2019 page and cast your vote for this month's top 10 artists. You can choose as many as you want, 5 times a day. And I think this month, actually, Derek, it ends on a Saturday. The 31st is on a Saturday. So we're going to have a really quick turnaround, to Sunday, knowing who's on the top 10. So be on the lookout. Yeah, be on the lookout Sunday the 31st for the top 10 countdown show. And then also that day, the next day, the 1st, it'll kick off the September edition. And we're getting pretty close to December, man. Just a few more months.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some badass bands stacking up on that competition. And as always, the winner gets free studio time and a T-shirt package. So somebody's going to come out with a pretty sweet deal at the end of the year. So cast your votes. Go to shows. That's always been said. Always go to shows. But go to our website. We list the shows. We release an article every week for the shows. Check out our band album reviews and stuff that we're starting to do a little more of. And also listen to the broadcast 24/7. I mean, it's nonstop local music with the go to shows announcement in there every week. So
are we gonna try to get another sports show in this week?
I think so. At some point, yeah.
We do we even advertise that we did that, or we just kind of rough run it?
I think we just rough run it. So for those of you who don't know, we did a sports cast. We threw it on the station. I think it's something we're really, 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 really thinking about doing. We've already done one, and we threw it on the broadcast. It was on I don't know. It's going to be a morning deal, I think, if we decide to do that. But
I listened to part of it. I thought it was not bad for our first run.
No,
it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's a different thing when you're talking. Well, we used to talking about music and stuff, and
right.
But hell, we always talk about sports and shit. It's just different putting a mic in front of us. And me and Edge have our other thing going on, which I need to get edited up, and we got one in the chamber right now, and then I think I'm gonna get this one done tomorrow, and then start releasing them.
Yep, and we got another project we're also working on, but we're not going to tell you about it yet. We still have a few more episodes to record of that, and then we're going to unleash the floodgates on that one, I think. But just be paying attention. We got some really cool stuff going on. The music scene's booming.
Something for everybody.
Yeah, music scene's booming. It's about to be fall with lots of sports action going on. Yeah, I mean, we got lots of cool stuff going on. Just stay tuned. Always reference our website. We got a lot going on there. We change it frequently. We're not one of those places that just doesn't change it for 3 months. Like, pretty OCD about it and making sure there's new stuff on there frequently. So don't be afraid to go check that out. And we got some really, really cool stuff in the works. So stay tuned. That's all I got to say about that. Derek, we got one more song to play for this awesome podcast here. I feel like we redeemed ourselves towards the end here. It's a little bit better. Starting to get on a little bit of the same page, but we're still
just a hair.
I still think we need to realign our tires a little bit and take ourselves in for a little realignment.
It's a good way of putting it.
we're kind of shimmying down the highway a little, you know.
Yeah, a little shimmy. It's been a rough ride, I'll say.
My shimmy's product of whiskey drinking, but I don't know.
Oh, I don't even know what to think about that. But oh shit. Anyway, yeah. So we got this is brand new. This is hot off the presses. We got it what?
A day ago, maybe.
No.
Oh well, it was Saturday.
No, Monday.
It was Monday, yeah, because you're at my house. You're like, we got this new art. We got new music from this artist. I was like, oh.
It's funny because like every time we see these guys come across the old email box, the inbox, well, it makes you smile a little bit.
You're like, ooh.
Like, oh, and everybody's fucking texting and happy and shit, and it's usually listened to within about 5 minutes of getting the track.
Y'all bring a big smile to our faces.
No, Live from the Basement is who we are talking about.
The first artist we ever played on the station.
Yep, numero uno. We've done an artist spotlight with them as well. That one was really cool. That was actually really, well, I guess they're all really fun. I
think it was our longest one we've ever done.
Oh, dude, that one was. I think we could have went another hour probably. I don't know. Dusty Granson was usually into the hour and a half, 2 hour range. But no, we just in that artist spotlight, we kind of just hung out with something behind the Shamrock and drank some beer and talked about shit, dude. And I talked about we talked about everything. I think.
Yep. So if you haven't heard that one, you need to go way back in the archives. It's not that far back, but it's a little ways back. So go back, find that spotlight on our podcast. It's worth listening to. It's a good one. We put a bunch of their songs in there too, and man.
So, yep. Anyway, what's the name of the song?
Derek, the name of the song is "Cool Voice." It's pretty different. I like it.
It is, man. It's love seeing these guys come out with new stuff. Happy every time we do. So, hope you guys enjoy it too. We'll be back next week.
Yep, next week, and then we got the Top 10 Countdown show. So stick around, stay tuned, tune into the broadcast, enjoy this track. Peace out.
Later.
It's the return of the partner of the lover of the return of the Matt Mark Morrison rap second to no other. Otherworldly with the word puzzles. It's food for thought is on the plates inside the painting of the Last Supper. Such a grandiose assertion, but therein lies production that a hands wave like theremin. Introduction through immersion, flow maniacal. Lyrics make a picture so sick I should list Getty images in the liner notes. I don't know, I just really don't see competition. I guess they kinda hot, break out the children's Tylenol. I'm the canary in the cold mine chillin', laughing to myself as I practice meloditism. Try to catch it, kinda hard getting choked out. Kansas, wake up to a blurry message, asking answer my own question. Start a quest without a weapon, weaponizing exhalation, laser focus from the basement. I was like, okay, J, cool voice on him, huh? 2 head, 4 eye, screw face on him, huh? I'ma do my thing on him, huh? Brainstorm, the thinker on him, huh? Okay, J, cool voice on him, huh? 2 head, 4 eye, screw face on him, huh? I'ma do my thing on him, huh? Brainstorm.
Norman Smiley with a sticker, Kindle with instrumental. Then chop like Parappa and cut it incremental. Switch the tempo on hits and symbols, then flip a simple idea into intense committal to get them into. Flaring on in 88, dream we need a limo. Jermagoon sent them in like they did at Temple. Play the music, praise the Lord like they do at Temple. Live, a true essential. For the basement, that's 2 essentials. So hit a show and tell them who essential. We cornered the market on no exaggeration. Imagination had us making amalgamations in basements. Get real cool on
them, tell them salutations. Then get reg with self congratulations. And then okay, J Cool voice on them, huh? 2 head 4 eye screw face on them, huh? I'ma do my thing on them, huh? Brainstorm, the thinker on them, huh? Okay, J Cool voice on them, huh? 2 head 4 eye screw face on them, huh? I'ma do my thing on them, huh? Brainstorm, the nigga Charles Lee Ray murder look like child's play on them. Wordplay, words playing mind games, talking circles like I'm trying to draw huddle. Turn your wave into a puddle. All your thoughts sound muddled. Give them 16 bundle. Give them these dreams subtle. Okay. Drive on road rage. Drive on penetrate with no help side rotate. Take it in. Take it all personal, flagrant. Living up basement, lyrical vagrant. Go without saying, okay then. Okay, J Cool voice on them, huh? 2 head 4 eye screw face on them, huh? I'ma do my thing on them, huh? Brainstorm, the thinker on them, huh? Okay, J Cool voice on them. 2 head 4 eye screw face on them. I'ma do my thing on them.
Wow, I gotta keep saying it.